home for thousands of years and developed perfect knowledge and spiritual consciousness. At last, they remembered the blessings of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and left home, putting their wife in charge of a perfect son. Verse number 2. The Prachetas went to the seashore in the west where the great liberated sage Jajali was residing. After perfecting the spiritual knowledge by which one becomes equal towards all living entities, the Prachetas became perfect in Krishna consciousness. Verse 3. After practicing the yoga asana for mystic yoga, the Prachetas managed to control their life, air, mind, words, and external vision. Thus, by the pranayama process, they were completely relieved of material attachment. By remaining perpendicular, they could concentrate their mind on the uppermost Brahman. While they were practicing this pranayama, the great sage Narada, who is worshipped both by demons and by the demigods, came to see them. Verse 4. As soon as the Prachetas saw the great sage Narada had appeared, they immediately got up even from their asanas. As required, they immediately offered obeisances and worshipped him. And when they saw that Narada Muni was properly seated, they began to ask him the questions. Verse 5. All the Prachetas began to address the great sage Narada. O great sage, O Brahmana, we hope you met with no disturbances while coming here. It is due to our great fortune that we are now able to see you. By the traveling of the sun, people are relieved from the fear of the darkness of the night, a fear brought about by thieves and rogues. Similarly, your traveling is like sun, for you drive all kinds of fear. Verse 6. Purport. Because of the night's darkness, everyone is afraid of rogues and thieves, especially on great cities. People are often afraid to go out on the street, and we understand that even in great cities like New York, people do not like to go out in the night. More or less, when it is night, everyone is afraid, either in the city or in the village. However, as soon as the sun rises, everyone is relieved. Similarly, this material world is dark by nature. Everyone is afraid of danger at every moment. But when one sees devotee like Narada, all fear is relieved. Just as the sun disperses darkness, the appearance
Thank you very much. In all the initiation, I make sure the senior devotees here for them. Usually have the senior devotees.
Moglala Prabhu asked me to come.
So the car 50 of them.
कार लेके जाएंगे.
Where will you go? Where will you go?
कितने बजे जाएंगे?
6 o'clock they're telling, 6:15 like 6:15.
अच्छा.
Okay. Take your photo. Sheila, take it. Yeah, Sheila.
इधर से रसला देखिए.
This is full lotus feet.
What you also think of?
Eh?
You also think? Mine is not
गाय का खूर वाला है ना, महाराज दिए.
Gokhura, this Charanchana, this Charanchana.
I apologize every day, but still, this is afraid.
He took my Ganduki.
You go there and Ganduki. You'll go on there.
हाँ
Went
पर
3 times.
पहले गए
So you found the Ganduki. And when
Ganduki. This is a Tomasala. This is a view. This is a Ganduki.
you found all the Ganduki.
This is from Goa. This is Krishna Sula. This is the Gospel King. This is the Kahu print.
खूर है
Kahu print. This is Krishna Sula. This is Damodar Sula. This is Ganduki.
दो दामोदर है
Okay, you know. You read?
Yes, ma'am. Just as the sun disperses darkness, the appearance of great sage like Narada disperses ignorance. When one meets Narada or his representative, a spiritual master, one is freed from all anxiety brought about by ignorance. Verse 6. O Master, may we inform you that because of our being overly attached to family affairs, we almost forgot the instructions we received from Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. Purport: remaining in family life is a kind of concession for sense enjoyment. One should know that sense enjoyment is not required. And one has to accept sense enjoyment in as much as one has to live. As confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Kamasya Nindraya Iti, one has to become Goswami and control his senses. One should not simply use his senses for sense gratification. Rather, the senses should be employed just as much required for maintaining body and soul together. Srila Rupa Goswami recommends, Anasatakya Vishayan Yatharam Upayanitita. One should not be attached to sense objects, but should accept sense enjoyment as much as required, no more. If one wishes to enjoy the senses more than required, he becomes attached to the family life, which means bondage. All the Prachetas admitted their fault in remaining in household life. Verse 7. Dear Master, kindly enlighten us in transcendental knowledge, which may act as a torchlight by which we may cross the dark miasmas of material existence. Purport: the Prachetas requested Narada to enlighten them in transcendental knowledge. Generally, when a common man meets a saintly person, he wishes to get some material benediction. However, the Prachetas were not interested in material benefits, for they had enjoyed all this sufficiently. Nor did they want the fulfillment of their material desires. They were simply interested in crossing the ocean of reasons. Everyone should be interested in getting out of these material clutches. Everyone should approach a saintly person in order to be enlightened in this connection. One should not bother a saintly person to get blessings for material enjoyment. Generally, householders receive the saintly persons to get their blessings, but their real aim is to become happy in the material world. Asking such material benediction is not recommended in Shastras. Verse number 8. The great sage Maitreya continued, "My dear Vidura, being thus petitioned by the Prachetas, the supreme devotee Narada, who is always absorbed in the thoughts of Supreme Personality of Godhead, began to reply." In this verse, Bhagwan Narada indicates that Narada is always absorbed in the thoughts of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavate Uttama Shloka Avishtamatma. Narada has no other business than thinking of Krishna, talking of Krishna, and preaching about Krishna. Therefore, he is sometimes called Bhagwan. Bhagwan means one who possesses all opulence. When a person possesses Bhagwan within their heart, he is also sometimes called Bhagwan. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, "Sakshat Dharitena Samshastra Shastriya." In every Shastra, the spiritual master
वहाँ क्लास कितने बजे है?
आज आपने बोला 9 o'clock, 9:30.
अच्छा 9 o'clock. आप लोग क्लास का शुरू करना चाहते हो?
हम लोग बेसमेंट में कर रहे हैं, जो नया मंदिर है पूरा आपको मैनेज किया है, वहाँ पे कर रहे हैं प्रोग्राम.
तो कितने बजे आप शुरू करना चाहते हो?
जी गुरुराज.
नहीं,
कितने बजे शुरू करना चाहते हैं?
9 o'clock. महाराज बोले 9 o'clock आएंगे तो उसके अकॉर्डिंगली शुरू करेंगे हम सब कुछ. गुरुराज को टाइम दिया.
9 o'clock शुरू करोगे
Yes, गुरुराज.
तो 10 बजे खत्म हो जाएगी क्लास.
You were saying me that you will come by 9:30. I said okay, but I have given the time by 9 o'clock for everyone.
No, I'll come by 9.
Okay, ठीक है, okay.
Because I'm trying to come in. और फिर ठीक है.
ठीक है प्रभु जी।
ठीक है.
तो वैष्णव महाराज साहब ने बात किया.
वैष्णव महाराज सब जिससे बात हो गया?
वैष्णव महाराज से. वैष्णव महाराज आ रहे हैं.
हाँ,
बोले मेरे को बोले आ रहे हैं.
ये बड़े मंदिर में क्लास है, उसके बाद आएंगे वहाँ।
हाँ ठीक है, ओके. गुरुदेव महाराज को हम सुबह ले आएंगे, उनका यहाँ पे लेक्चर भी है.
अभी महाराज मिलने.
अभी महाराज गुरु महाराज से मिल के गए हैं महाराज।
ओके ओके, ठीक है, ठीक है, थैंक यू.
मोहन बाबू ने बुलाया.
मोहन बापू को बुलाए हैं ना?
हाँ मोनू वो आ रहे हैं.
ठीक है।
थैंक यू.
9 बजे उधर पहुँचना है.
ठीक है ना, थोड़ा लेट हो ही जाता है।
This does not mean that the spiritual master or a saintly person like Narada has actually become the supreme personality of Godhead, but he is accepted in this way because he possesses the supreme personality of Godhead within his heart constantly. As described, Avistasma, when one is simply absorbed in the thought of Krishna, one is also called Bhagwan. Bhagwan possesses all opulence. If one possesses Bhagwan within his heart, does he not automatically possess all opulence also? In that sense, a great devotee like Narada can be called Bhagwan. However, we cannot tolerate when a rascal or impostor is called Bhagwan. One must possess either all opulence or Supreme Personality of Godhead, who possess all opulences. Verse number 9. The great sage Narada said, "When a living entity is born to engage in devotional service of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Controller, his birth, all his fruitive activities, his lifespan, his mind, and his words are all factually perfect." In this word, the word Narnam is very important. There are many other birds besides human birth, but Narada Muni, in herein, especially speaking of human birth, among human beings there are different types of men. Of these, those who are advanced in spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness are called Aryans. Among Aryans, one who engages in the devotional service of the Lord is the most successful in life. The word Narnam indicates that lower animals are not expected to engage in devotional service of the Lord. But in perfect human society, everyone should engage in the devotional service of the Lord. It does not matter whether one is born rich or poor, black or white. There may be so many material distinctions for one who takes birth in human society, but everyone should engage in Lord's devotional service. At the present moment, civilized nations have given up God conscious for economic development. They are actually no longer interested in advancing in God consciousness. Formerly, their forefathers were engaged in executing religious principles. Whether one is Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, Jewish, or whatever. Everyone has some religious institution. Real religion, however, means becoming God conscious. It is particularly mentioned herein that birth is successful if an interest in Krishna consciousness is taken. Activity is successful if it results in serving the Lord. Philosophical speculation or mental speculation is successful when engaged in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The senses are worth possessing when engaged in the service of the Lord. Actually, devotional service means engaging the senses in the service of the Lord. At the present moment, our senses are not purified. Therefore, our senses are engaged in the service of society, friendship, love, politics, sociology, and so on. However, when the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, one attains bhakti or devotional service. In the next verse, these matters will be more clearly explained and in depth. When one great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the Lord and said all his desires are fulfilled, he said, "Today everything is auspicious. Today my birthplace and neighborhood are completely glorified. Today my senses from my own eyes to my toes are fortunate. Today my life is successful because I have been able to see the lotus feet that are worshipped by the goddess of the fortune." Verse 10. A civilized human being has three kinds of birth. The first birth is by pure father and mother, and this birth is called birth by semen. The next birth takes place when one is initiated by spiritual master, and this birth is called Savitra. The third birth, called Yagnika, takes place when one is given an opportunity to worship Lord Vishnu. Despite the opportunities of attaining such birth, even if one gets lifespan of a demigod, if one does not actually engage in the service of the Lord, everything else is useless. Similarly, one's activity may be mundane or spiritual, but they are useless if they are not meant for satisfying the Lord. Purport. The word Shakura Janma means taking birth by seminal discharge. Animals can take their birth in this way too. However, a human being can be reformed from the Shakra Janma as recommended in Vedic civilization. Before the birth takes place or the father and mother unite, there is a ceremony called Garbhadana Samskara, which must be adopted. The Garbhadana Samskara is especially recommended for higher caste, especially the Brahmana caste. It is said in the Shastras that if the Garbhadana Samskara is not practiced among the highest caste, the entire family becomes Shudra. It is also stated in the age of Kali, everyone is Shudra due to the absence of Garbhadana Samskara. This is the Vedic system. According to Pancharatrika system, however, even though everyone is Shudra due to the absence of Garbhadana Samskara, if a person has but a little tendency to become Krishna consciousness, he should be given the chance to elevate himself to the transcendental platform of devotional service. Our Krishna conscious movement adopts the Pancharatrika Vidhi as advised by Srila Sanatan Goswami, who says, Yatha Kanchanatam Yati Kamsayam Rasa Vidhatana Tatha Diksha Vidhadena Vidhanena Dijitam Jayate Narnam. As bell metal, when mixed with mercury, is transformed to gold, a person, even though not golden pure, can be transformed to Brahmana or Dvija simply by the initiation process. Hari Bhakti Vilasa 2.12. Thus, if one is initiated by a proper person, he can be accepted as twice born immediately. In our Krishna conscious movement, we therefore offer the student his first initiation and allow him to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. By chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra regularly and following the regulative principles, one must become qualified to be initiated as Brahmana, because unless one is qualified Brahmana, he cannot be allowed to worship Lord Vishnu. This is called Yagnika Janma. In our Krishna consciousness society, unless one is twice initiated, first by chanting Hare Krishna and second by the Gayatri Mantra, he is not allowed to enter kitchen or deity room to execute duties. However, when one is elevated to the platform on which he can worship the deity, His previous dirt does not matter. Chandalopi dvija shreshto hari bhakti prayanaha hari bhakti vignascha dvijopi sopacha dharma. Even if one is born in the family of Chandala, if one engages in the devotional service of the Lord, he becomes the best of the Brahmanas. But even a Brahmana who is devoid of devotional service is on the level of the lowest dog eater. If a person is advanced in devotional service, it does not matter whether he was born in Chandala family. He becomes purified. As Sri Prahlad Maharaj said in Bhagavatam 7.9.10, Vipra Dishad Guna Yuttad Aradhana Nabha Pada Vrinda Vimukha Chvapacham Varishtam. Even if one is a Brahmana and is qualified with Brahminical qualification, he is considered degraded if he is averse to the Supreme Person, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if person is attached to the service of the Lord, he becomes glorified, even if he is born in Chandala family. Even such Chandala can deliver not only himself, but all his family predecessors. Without devotional service, even a proud Brahmana cannot deliver himself, and what to speak of his family. In many instances in the Shastras, it is seen that even a Brahmana has become Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Malecha, or even Brahmana. And there are many instances of one being born as Kshatriya or Vaishya or even lower, and in the 18th year attaining elevation to the Brahminical platform by the process of initiation. Therefore, Narad Muni says, Yasyaya lakshnam proktam kum sovarna bhivaina jaktam yad anyatrapi drishtya tat tenaiva vinitrishat. Bhagavatam 7.11.35. It is not a fact that because one is born in a Brahmana family, he is automatically a Brahmana. He has better chance to become Brahmana, but unless he meets all the Brahminical qualification, he cannot be accepted as such. On the other hand, if the Brahminical qualifications are found in the person of the Shudra, he should immediately be accepted as Brahmana. To substantiate this, there are many quotations from Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Bharadwajita Samhita, and Pancharatra, as well as many other scriptures. As far as the duration of the life of demigods, concerning Lord Brahma, it is said, Sahasra Yugya Pranayatam Aharyad Brahmano Vidu Ratrim Yugga Sahasratam Deho Ratra Vido Jana. The duration of one day of Brahma is 1,000 times greater than the 4 yugas, aggregating 43,20,000 years. Similarly, Brahma's lives for 100 years of such days and nights. The word Vibhudashyasa indicates that even if one gets a long lifespan, his lifespan is useless if he is not a devotee. A living entity is the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord, and unless he comes to the platform of devotional service, his lifespan, good birth, glorious activities, and everything else are null and void. Verse number 11. Without devotional service, what is the meaning of severe austerities? The process of hearing, the power of speech, the power of mental speculation, elevated intelligence, strength, and the power of senses. From the Upanishad, Mukanda Upanishad 3.2.3, we learn, Nayam Atma Pravachene na labhyo na medhaya na bahuna shritena yam ivashya vranute te na labhyas tasyasa atma vivrunate tanum swam. Our relationship with Supreme Lord is never advanced by simply study of the Vedas. There are many Mayavadi sannyasis fully engaged in studying of Vedas, Vedanta Sutra and Upanishad. But unfortunately, one cannot grasp the real essence of knowledge. In other words, they do not know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What then is the use in studying all the Vedas if one cannot grasp the essence of Vedas, Krishna? Lord confirms in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Vedaischa sarvair aham eva vedayah. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. There are many religious systems where penances and austerities are greatly stressed, but at the end, no one understands Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is therefore no point in such penance. If one actually approaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he does not need to undergo severe austerities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is understood through the process of devotional service. In the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, devotional service is explained as Raga Guhyam, the king of all confidential knowledge. There are many reciters of the Vedic literature, and they recite works such as Ramayana, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes these professional readers manifest many good scholarship and exhibited word jugglery. Unfortunately, they are never devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, they cannot impress upon the audience the real essence of knowledge, Krishna. There are also many thoughtful writers and creative philosophers, but despite all their learning, if they cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, they are simply useless mental speculators. There are many sharply intelligent people in this material world, and they discover so many things for sense gratification. They also analytically study all the material elements, but despite their expert knowledge and expert scientific analysis of the whole cosmic manifestation, their endeavors are useless because they cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As far as our senses are concerned, there are many animals, both beasts and birds, who are very expert in exercising their senses more keenly than human beings. For example, vultures or hawks can go very high in the sky but can see a small body on the ground very clearly. This means that their eyesight is so keen that they can find an eatable corpse from the great distance. Certainly, their eyesight is keener than the human beings, but this does not mean that their existence is more important than that of human being. Similarly, dogs can smell many things from a far distance. Many fish can understand by the power of the sound that an enemy is coming. All these examples are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. If one's sense cannot help him attain the highest perfection of life, realization of the Supreme, they are all useless. Verse 12. Transcendental practices that do not ultimately help one realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead are useless. Be they mystic yoga practices, the analytical study of the matter, study austerity, the acceptance of sannyasa, or the study of Vedic literature. All these may be very important aspects of spiritual advancement, but unless one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all these processes are useless. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, number 24.109, it is said, Bhakti vena kevala jnana mukti nahi haya, bhakti sadhana kare ei prapta brahma laya. Impersonalists do not take to devotional service, but take to other practices, such as the analytical study of the material elements, the discrimination between matter and spirit, and the mystic yoga system. Repeating again, Bhakti vina kevala jana mukti nahi kaya, bhakti sadhana kare yei prapta brahma laya. These are beneficial only insofar as they are complementary to devotional service. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore told Sanatana Goswami that without a touch of the devotional service, Jnana Yoga and Sankhya philosophy cannot give the desired result. The impersonalists wish to merge to Brahman, Supreme Brahman. However, merging into Supreme Brahman also requires a touch of devotional service. The absolute truth is realized in three phases: impersonal Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All these require touch of devotional services. Sometimes it is actually seen that these Mayavadis also chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. All their motive is to merge into the Brahman effulgence of the Absolute. The yogis also at times take to the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but their purpose is different from that of Bhakta. In all processes, karma, janma or yoga, bhakti is required. That is the purpose of this verse. Text 13. Factually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original source of self-realization. Consequently, the goal of all auspicious activities, karma, jnana, yoga, bhakti, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The living entity is the marginal energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the material world is the external energy. Under the circumstances, one must understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is factually the original source of both matter and spirit. This is explained in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita 7.4 and 7.5. Bhumir apo nalo vayu ham mano buddhir ivacha ahankara itiyam me bhinna praktir ashtada अपारेयम इतास्त्व अन्यम प्रकृतिं विधि में परम जीवभूतां महो बाहो येदाम धारित्य जगत. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego. Altogether these eight comprise my separated material energies. But besides these inferior nature, O mighty Arjuna, there is superior energy of mind, which consists of all living entities who are struggling with material nature and are sustaining the universe. The entire cosmic manifestation is but combination of matter and spirit. The spiritual part is living entity, and these living entities are described as Prakriti or energy. The living entity is never described as Purusha, the Supreme Person.
Go to the next verse.
Next sloka.
Therefore, to identify the living entity with Supreme Lord is simply ignorance. The living entity is the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord. Although there is actually no difference between the energy and the energetic, the duty of the living entity is to understand his real identity. When he does, Krishna gives him all facilities to come to the platform of devotional service. That is perfection of life. This is indicated in Vedic Upanishad. Yam evasya vranute tena labhyas tasyasa atma virudnute tanum swam. Lord Krishna confirms this in Bhagavad Gita 10.10. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogamatam yamam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they come to me. The conclusion is that one must come to the platform of Bhakti Yoga, even though one may begin with Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. Unless one comes to the platform of the Bhakti Yoga, self-realization or realization of the absolute truth cannot be achieved. Verse 14. As pouring water on the root of tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality. Sometimes people ask, why this Krishna consciousness movement simply advocates worship of Krishna to the exclusion of demigods? The answer is given in this verse. The example of pouring of water on the root of the tree is very appropriate. In Bhagavad Gita 15.1 it is said, Urdhva Mulam Adha Shakham Shakham. The cosmic manifestation has expanded downwards, and the root is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As the Lord confirms in Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Krishna is the root of everything, therefore rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, means automatically serving all the demigods. Sometimes it is argued that karma and jnana require mixture of bhakti in order to be successfully executed, and sometimes it is argued that bhakti also requires karma and jnana for its successful termination. The fact is, however, that although karma and jnana cannot be successful without bhakti, bhakti does not require the help of karma and jnana. Actually, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami, Anyabhirishita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. Pure devotional service should not be contaminated by the touch of karma and jnana. Modern society is involved in various types of philanthropic works, humanitarian works, and so on. But people do not know that these activities will never be successful unless Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is brought into the center. One may ask what harm there is worshipping Krishna and different parts of his body, the demigods, and the answer is also given in this verse. The point is that by supplying food to the stomach, the indriyas, the senses, are automatically satisfied. If one tries to feed his eyes or ears independently, the result is only havoc. Simply by supplying food to the stomach, we satisfy all the senses. It is neither necessary nor feasible to render separate service to the individual senses. The conclusion is that by serving Krishna, everything is complete. As confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 20.62, Krishna Bhakti Koile Sharva Karna Kreta Hoya. If one is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything is automatically accomplished. Text 15. During the rainy season, water is generated from the sun. And in due course of time, during summer season, the very same water is again absorbed by the sun. Similarly, all entities, living entities, moving and inert, are generated from the earth. And again, after some time, they all return to earth as dust. Similarly, everything emanates from Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in due course of time, everything enters Him again. Because of their poor fund of knowledge, impersonalist philosophers cannot understand how everything comes out from the Supreme Person and then merges into Him again. As Brahma Samhita 5.4 confirms, Ishya Prabha Prabhavate Jagata Andakoti Koshit Vasudhadi Vibhuti Binnam Tad Brahma Niskalam Ananta Shesha Bhutam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamham Bhajami. Transcendental rays emanate from the body of Krishna, and within those rays, which are Brahman influenced, everything is existing. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.4. Matstani Sarva Bhutani. Though Krishna is not personally present everywhere, his energy is the cause of all creation. The entire cosmic manifestation is nothing but display of Krishna's energy. The two examples given in this verse are very vivid. During the rainy season, the rain, by rejuvenating the production of vegetables on the earth, enables animals to obtain living energy. When there is no rain, food is scarce, and a man and animals simply die. All vegetables as well as living entities are original products of the earth. They come from the earth and again merge into the earth. Similarly, the total material energy is generated from the body of Krishna, and at such time the entire cosmic manifestation is visible. When Krishna winds up his energy, everything vanishes. This is explained in a different way in Brahma Samhita 5.48. Yassika nisvasita kalam atha valambya jivanti loma vilaja jagat andanata Vishnur mahanta idha Yasya kala vishesho govindam adi purusham tamam bhajami. The entire material creation comes from the body of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and at the time of annihilation comes again into Him. This process of creation and dissolution is made possible by the breathing of Mahavishnu, who is only plenary portion of Krishna. Text 16. Just as sunshine is non-different from the sun, the cosmic manifestation is also non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality is therefore all-pervasive within this material creation. When the senses are active, they appear to be part and parcel of the body. But when the body is asleep, their activities are unmanifest. Similarly, the whole cosmic creation appears different and yet non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This confirms the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Tattva, simultaneously one and different, propounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is simultaneously different and non-different from this cosmic manifestation. In the previous verse, it has been explained that Supreme Personality of Godhead, like the root of the tree, is the original cause of everything. It is also explained how Supreme Personality of Godhead is all pervasive. He is present within everything in this material manifestation. Since the energy of Supreme Personality is non-different from him, this material cosmic manifestation is also non-different from him, although it appears different. The sunshine is not different from the sun itself. It is simultaneously also different. One may be in sunshine, but he is not on the sun itself. Those who live in the material world श्रीमद् भागवतम मूल पुराण की जय। प्रश्न पूछ सकता हूँ? इन शालिग्राम के नाम क्या क्या है? इन शालिग्राम की कौन कौन से?
इसका पहचान होता है एक तो इसमें तो
तुलसी की
इसमें चलन है दोनों कृष्ण का तो कृष्ण शिवाय बाकी इसका देश के नाम बता सकते हैं जैसे वो महाराज का है गोल मोटर है कृष्ण उसको कृष्ण बनाए कृष्ण शिवा कृष्ण वो भगवान कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण का चरण कमल हम कभी कोई होते हैं
शालिग्राम शालिग्राम
हाँ सारे लोग के होते हैं भगवान के सारे लोग कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम चलो नारायण चला होता है ज़्यादातर वो होता है हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण गिरिराज भगवान जय नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय बलराम जी की जय देखो क्या लिखा है किसका है इसको बना एक फिर चलना पड़ेगा। ये सब कुछ किचन में है, ये खाली किचन में फिर ये जैसे ऐसे ये किचन में ये मैं ले सकता हूँ आपके लिए। भोगा भोगा हो गया तो होगा। जल्दी हो।
आधे हुए हैं, आधे चल रहे हैं, और हो जाएंगे। माता जी इसका नाम है तो भूल रहे होंगे। प्रभु जी इसके तो सब रेडी हैं। अभी हो जाएगा, थोड़ा सा रहता है।
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. नित्यानंद मौनम हरिनाम पदम देवम
आपके उधर रख दो किचन में रखा है आप देख लो थैंक यू
Puja the society. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.